G'day guys, Adam Grokey from Johnston Grokey here with David Floyd from First on the Beach. David, we're just going to go into stage 3, which is building up a business. So we've gone through the 5 stages and now we're going to take a deep dive into building up.
Yep.
Building up's a really interesting phase of a business, and as we've mentioned in the other videos, quite often this is where businesses get stuck.
Yep.
So we'll go through the other stages, fantastic, and then they get to this one and they just can't seem to get out of the building up phase. So I think that's probably one of the critical things, because if people are getting stuck here, what makes them stuck?
Okay, well, the key thing that makes people stuck at this stage is that they are still the business. The business owner is still the business. They've gone through the startup, they've gone through the ramp up, they've got to a point where everything's starting to rock and roll, and of course, ironically, they're usually working longer hours. They're taking on staff, which is great. So a lot of the work's getting done, the people are getting serviced, fulfillment's going out, etc., etc. The business is growing nicely. But the problem is they are still the business. They are responsible for everything, they are involved in every aspect of the business, and as a consequence it can only ever grow to the capacity of the owner. So until such time as they accept that their business is no longer the business, which is making and developing and delivering the widgets, their business is now the business growing the business, and therefore need to put in place the necessary systems, people, processes to ensure that what they started is now done consistently, but without them, then the business will never get beyond that. So the build-up phase is very much one of, I suppose, a journey of learning, a journey of experience, and for some they will understand where they need to go. They'll understand that the only way they'll get out of that is to start putting in place a much better process and system framework. And in that sense, they'll start to look for the right sort of people to come in. And that's very important in terms of getting the right managers into the various departments, managers that share your same focus, the same vision that you have, and of course the staff that then also work. So the culture of the place becomes very important. Equally, of course, you've got a culture of people who are passionate about what you want to do and certainly want to help you get there. But until such time as you actually implement the necessary systems and processes that underpin that build that foundation, then it can't be duplicated, because you'll have everybody off running off doing their own thing in their own way, still believing they're doing the right thing by you and by the customer, but they're doing it in different ways, so nothing's consistent. And while people suggest that systems and processes stymie their creativity, in fact it's totally the opposite. By laying those core foundations, it allows people to be much more creative, while the basics of the business, which the customer rely upon, are done effectively.
And you can be quite freed by the structure, because you trust the structure, you trust the process, you know what's going to work, which actually allows you to commit more time and effort to other things that are going to help growing the business.
Yes.
I think what you mentioned was really interesting, because you said about how the owner in this phase really has to, they've got it to where it is now. I think in a lot of businesses they need to realise as well, and sometimes it's a mind shift change as well, and I know we're going to do another video on mindset and mind shift, because they may not necessarily be the right person to take the business through this next phase.
Very much so, and I've been in situations, I took on a business with a client who was an incredible technician. They'd grown the business because of what they could do, they were very good at what they did, but they understood, and thank goodness they understood their shortcomings. They weren't management material, in their words, and they needed someone to come in that would allow them to put the systems in place, would allow them to grow the business while that person continued to do what they were very good at. So identifying shortcomings is certainly very important, and that's one of the critical phases of getting away from a business that is a job into a business that ultimately will give you the freedom that you're looking for as a business owner. And
I think the business as a job is really, it's an interesting concept, because someone said to me once, and it may have even been you, but if it was, very wise words, if you can go and do exactly what you're doing and get paid the same, you've got a job.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's so true. If you can do exactly what you're doing in your business somewhere else and get paid the same, you haven't created a business, you've just created a job.
You created a job, and unfortunately it's a job with overheads. Because you're the last person who gets paid. You've not only got the job that you used to do, but you've also got the added responsibilities of everything else that goes with the business, with none of the benefits and none of the successes. So until just that time as that realisation hits the business owner, it will only ever be a very, very busy job,
Yeah.
and one that they'll be frustrated by because they'll continue to grow, but only within their own capacity.
Yeah.
And that's where, of course, the next stage of scale-up comes, but only after they've laid the proper foundations in this
Yeah.
phase.
Yeah. So keys for getting out of this phase: laying the foundations, process and systems, surrounding yourself with the right people
Yes.
to get you through the build up into the scale up, so you can start growing the business once you've got the foundations.
They need to be able to support you and to ensure that everything that you wanted to achieve out of the business can continue to happen. And the biggest frustration most business owners will have is they don't trust anybody. No one can do it as well as I do. You know, it's easy if I do it myself. It's that mindset shift that you spoke about before. It's overcoming those and understanding they are limiting beliefs. And that until such time as you can eliminate those, you won't be able to take the business to the next level.
Which is hard for a business owner because business has only got to that spot because of them and everything that they've had to do, and now it's actually starting to release some of that control, which I can imagine will be challenging for a lot of business owners.
Very much so.
Yeah. Mate, thank you for your time. That's fantastic. Next video, we're going to focus on stage 4, which is scale up. So you've gone through all this working in a business, you've got the foundations, and now you start going back into this super exciting stage of going, well, the world's your oyster. How big do we want to make this? So we'll cover that in the next video. We're also going to do a mindset as well, which is going to be a really interesting topic to dive deep into that. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you, David, for your time.
Thanks, Adam.